Lifers Podcast. Get with it or get forgotten.
Welcome to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by the Lifers Podcast Network. Today is our first show, and this is a place where we will discuss and talk shop with current and ex-players and coaches of any and every sport. I have some guests here today. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to start this off, this pilot of an episode. I can't wait, man. Thank you for bringing us on, and looking forward to it, man.
Absolutely. I got Mr. Tremaine Gendron here. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good, Sabi. Just here to help you out, brother. Can't wait to get this thing kicked off, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, for thinking of me.
Yo, can I just say something? Why didn't you say my last name?
Kevin Melendez, ladies and gentlemen.
Put some respect on it, bro. Put some
respect on my name.
Love it. So we have some familiar faces today, but just so happens that each and every one of us have a special coaching journey that we'd like to discuss to our fans and our lifers out there. We'll start with Tremaine. Go ahead and give us your background in coaching or whatever led to that path when you began coaching, sir.
Ooh, I'm interested.
It started when I was actually in high school. I would work the basketball camp that my high school coach ran. He's still running to this day at our high school. I started doing that during the summer. He'd do 3 or 4 week camps, and I'd help out, be a junior counselor. And then when I graduated high school, I came back as a counselor when I was in college. And then I graduated college and wasn't really doing anything, had a couple of internships, and I was like, I'd always had an interest in it, in coaching and just being around the game, because it's in you, you know what I mean? When you've played it your whole life, you've got to find a way to navigate that competitive edge, and that piece of your life that has been so important to you for so long was missing. You know what I mean? So this, I thought at the time, was the easiest way to get back into it and get those competitive juices flowing again. So I just randomly came to a practice one day and was like, hey, coach, how do I help you out? I can volunteer. I can do whatever, be a team manager. He was like, no, I want you on the staff. So I was an assistant for 8 years on the varsity staff, and then varsity and JV. And then my last 2 years that I coached, I was the head JV coach. So I coached for about 8 years. Then we moved to Florida, and I haven't really picked it back up yet.
TJ, where at? By the way, I'm sorry.
In Rhode Island, at my old high school.
Okay.
I coached in my old high school, so felt like it was something that, number one, it felt like I had to give back because people gave to me, so that was reason number one. Number two, my cousin was a sophomore who was about to start varsity, so I wanted to look out for him, make sure he was okay. And was getting the treatment that I felt he needed, and the coaching that I felt I could give him, even though I was wet behind the ears back then.
Similac behind the ears.
And yeah, and reason number three was I just loved the game, and I just wanted to be a part of it somehow. So
it's true lifer right there. Real quick, what high school was that?
Rogers High School in Newport, Rhode Island.
Rogers High School, Newport, Rhode Island. Perfect. Kev, go ahead and tell us your background, your coaching experience.
Oh man, that's interesting. So it starts off, like you said, we're all athletes. We played, I played my entire life. I remember ninth grade year. It was, I played. It was one of those summers where I played so much. It was ridiculous, and going to the park all the time, playing against older kids all the time, and I played point guard. That was my position, and I remember since the age of 14, I got nicknamed Coach. Coach Kev was my nickname since I was 14 years old, and it came like that just because whenever playing pickup, I didn't look at it like pickup. I would play, and then people who didn't play that much, I would after or in the middle of games, I would tell them like this is what a screen is. This is what you want to roll or a pop. Defensively, this is philosophies. Like I was teaching kids what to do, but it wasn't because I was trying to be coach, because I wanted to win the next scrimmage.
Correct.
So, the next pickup. But they started just calling me Coach Kev, and It was just a nickname, and I played my whole entire life. Like I said, I played varsity, high school. I got offered scholarships for college, and when I came my senior year, I had a few injuries going in my high school, and I had to make a decision whether I was going to accept, lower tier colleges to play basketball or go to a bigger university for education. At that time, I was being offered a preferred walk-on for St. John's, and then education scholarship for St. John's University, and I had to make a decision whether I was gonna stay at the in Florida and be go on my path for being a doctor of physical therapy, which I'm 1 year away from doing. But at that time, it was either I was going to go to St. John's. People don't actually know the story. I was going to go to St. John's and go be a coach. I wanted to be a professional coach. I wanted to go be a coach for the NBA. And I had to sit down and talk to my family and make that decision to go, okay, I'm either have to make the life-changing move of going to New York. And I was so excited because it was when J. Cole was big at the time. He had just started, and people don't, he went to St. John's University. So that was like inspiring for me. I was like, I'm about to go to New York and sit in front of the Madison Square Garden every day until I get, get some sort of internship or something. Because remember I said I was preferred walk-on for St. John's, and they play at the Madison Square Garden.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really like, I was plotting this entire time when I was, 17, 18 years old. And I made a decision not to. And I went and did my, started the path of Dr. Physical Therapy. And then before starting grad school, I was substituting at a new school. It was a K-8 Wedgefield Middle School. And while I was substituting, it was their first year. They were brand new, and they didn't have a basketball coach. And I went up to the gym teacher, and I was like, I start grad school in 6 months. I would love to scratch this itch that I have for coaching. And like TJ said, stay around the game, and you fiend for it in a way. So, middle school, it was a perfect opportunity. I was offered it, and 4 years later, I've been coaching for the last 4 years, and it's been the most exciting, challenging, tough moments of my life. They've taught me more than I probably taught them. So that's been my experience with coaching.
Love it. So our coaching paths, Kevin, they're sort of intertwined. I'll start, from the very beginning. I tried out in middle school, and I was just undersized, man. I would never make the team. I played AAU though. I played a competitive circuit. I had earned the respect of my peers, players who were on the team. I'm talking about 4, 5, 6 kids dunking, and they're in like 7th, 8th grade. Like, it was just very competitive here in Central Florida. Transition into my high school year, I knew that if I wanted to have a chance to play, I just got to be smarter, be a student of the game. So I started paying attention, watching more basketball, reading books. I was reading coaching books. I had to be the quickest player on the court. But once again, I was always told I was undersized. I'd always make it to the last cut. High school coach actually would let me practice with the varsity players every day. So I was literally just, the cloth below, let's just say, of those varsity players. I never gave up at all. I love the game. I'm a true lifer. When I went to college, I had the opportunity to play a little bit at St. Leo University. It was essentially like a tryout for walk-ons. 15 freshmen, 2 spots, and we were allowed to train, wake up every morning. I was literally waking up at 5 a.m., working out, going to school, having shoot-arounds, doing scrimmages. Freshman year of college, I kind of realized, you know what, I need to start the game. If I want to continue playing this game and loving this game, I got to find a new path. So I started reffing.
You did. I remember that. Yeah.
I started reffing. I was 20 years old, 19 years old. I started reffing, and I started coaching YMCA in Tampa. Fast forward, because we become adults, I kind of lost my path a little bit in the sense of wasn't dedicated to basketball every day. You got to work, you got to pay the bills, you got to be responsible. But something came up, and this is how we're intertwined, Kevin. Lifers, you actually just heard Coach Kev. He was saying he was a coach for a new school, middle school, Wedgefield. Now, what he didn't mention is Wedgefield is where we grew up here in Central Florida. It's a neighborhood, small, quaint. Not many people know it exists, but we're putting the name on the map. He came up to me and said, "Hey, the girls need a basketball coach." And I was like, "Well, let me look at the certifications. Let me see if I can. I'm down. Let's do it. So we basically have been coaching middle school for the last 3-4 years. Now, my first year of middle school basketball, that next summer, I began to be really ambitious. So I'm researching. I'm getting certified with USA Basketball. I decided to locate the feeder high school program's head coach for the girls varsity program, and I messaged her with, "What can I do for you? I'm a feeder school here. Let me see what I can do for you. Let's meet up." That same day that we met up, she goes, "I want you to be my JV head coach for the girls program."
Shoot your shot, buddy.
So, she was
Bang,
like,
bang.
she said, "I loved it. I haven't had anybody come up to me like that, your age, and I need help." She was like, "I need help. I have nobody. And you seem like someone who wants to do it on your own and you're committed." So I started coaching JV this year. It was my first year. And I got, plenty stories to tell, but I want to ask you fellas real quick. TJ, what is your most memorable coaching moment or moments, if you have 2, or 3?
I have a few. I have 2. One is in Rhode Island. They do a very interesting thing. Is they have a JV state championship that they play.
Oh,
So most states don't have it.
no.
They don't have it. The JV just plays before the game,
Funding.
and that's it. Well, in Rhode Island, they have a JV state playoffs, divisions 1, 2, and 3, because there's 3 divisions in Rhode Island. So it was my first year as the head coach.
Mhm.
We won the state championship. I led a team to the state championship.
Oh man.
We had a couple of juniors on the team because our varsity team was really, really young and really, really good. So some guys that were a little bit older played down because they just couldn't crack the lineup. And then we had a couple of good sophomores that were we just bodied it. And the team that we beat in the finals, it was funny because we played them at their place a week or 2 before the playoffs started, and they kicked our ass. It was this town called it's a small town, a beach town in Rhode Island called Westerly, Rhode Island. And, suburban white kids, you know what I mean? But they're tough, hard-nosed, usually good shooters. And they're well coached, and they played really good defense. And they beat us pretty good. We had it's a long bus ride from where we are. There in Rhode Island, it was a long bus ride. Let's get that out of the way. It's Rhode Island, so everything is like an hour and a half max away is like the total distance across the whole damn state. But they were like an hour away. They're like the most southern point in Rhode Island. And they kicked our ass. So we had a bone to pick with them when we came back, and we ran a lot of screen roll and motion offense, and we had some guys that could play. So we came up with some. They defended our screen roll real well that game, so we were like, all right, when we go into this one, we got to have some other options.
Yeah.
To work. And we had options off the screen roll that they were not ready for. And when I tell you these boys was ready and came to play some goddamn defense, they came and they played some defense. So that would be one, winning the state championship for JV. 2 would be making it to the Final Four of our state tournament for the varsity. And we made 2 in Rhode Island. They started a new trend where they had because we're so small, they have it's like Indiana. They have a state tournament for every team, no matter what division you're in. You go and you play. You get ranked, obviously, throughout the season, whether you're 1, 2, or 3. So they have their division champions, and then you have overall state champion. So we made the Final Four and lost by I think about 5 or 6 points in the Final Four.
Mm.
So that was 2, and then 3 would be just watching kids that I've coached playing college, man. Like and then to have those kids come back and be like, Coach T, you helped me out, you helped me with this, you helped me with that. Like, it just makes you feel good, period. So those would be my 3 most memorable things.
Love it. Love it. Kevin, I'm sure you have some interesting stories.
I mean, first of all, TJ, man, that's eye opening, man. I love it because I always tell, I'm coaching middle school, you coach high school, and I was given a couple opportunities to coach high school, and I chose middle school because it was less of a commitment, in terms of because I'm in grad school, so I want to be able to be committed when it comes to high school, but I always tell my middle school kids that I don't coach them for now. I coach them for 10 years later when they hopefully come up to me and give me a hug. Like, that's all I want. Like, and I still, I got about 7 years to wait until that. But what I will say is, in terms of memories, we mentioned it. Wedgefield is a small town. It's not even town. It's a small neighborhood, and our school that we coach is a K-8. So you're talking our middle school, which is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. There's a total of maybe 250 kids, 300 kids, maybe.
Yeah.
And out of those kids, you have to create, a 15-man roster. And so my first year of coaching, you had, out of 15 players, you had maybe one guy who had ever played organized basketball. One guy. And then you go down the street to something like Avalon, which any people who are listening don't know, it's 20 minutes later, you have 100 people trying out.
Yep.
You have 100 people trying out, whereas
there's 2 middle schools in Avalon. That's how bad
exactly.
it is.
There's 2 middle schools in Avalon. There's 100 people trying out per tryout, and whereas mine, we have to make 15 kids out of 30 kids trying out. Like, there really isn't many cut. Like, you're creating a culture, and that's what I was proud of. Is that I remember going in there and going, okay, I'm really the one creating this culture. What's this gonna go? And it took. 3 years later, the moment that I want to talk about is we lost 3 straight years. We did not win a game for 3 years. First year, we got mollywopped all the time. We just wanted these kids to get some sort of basketball experience and realize that basketball is a real sport. Second year, we just want these kids to compete. So finally, you had a year of them being like, oh, we want to win. We don't like losing, but they're not good enough. They just didn't have the talent. They didn't have that. They were making up for 10 years that other schools had already played. Their boys play year round. Third year was finally where we were getting to the point where we were competing. We started being close in games. The team that would typically beat us by 40 was now, we were down by 5 entering the fourth quarter. So you started getting those moments. And then coming year 4, it was the epitome of culture. And the reason why I say that, it was our first game of the season. And I got my first win, and that feeling you never forget as a coach. And the beautiful thing about that is it was not 1 win, it was 2 wins, it was 3 wins. I got a 3-peat in my first set of wins. Kind of perfect timing with The Last Dance coming out, but yeah, shout out.
Shout out to Sunshine and Sand. Nadine Perez is launching her own T-shirt company pretty soon, and she gave me a sample. This is a sample run, guys. So
check it out.
Sunshine and Sand is going to be the name of the company. Pre-order, pre-launch, before they really go public.
Love it,
man. I can't wait for that. I'm definitely a compliment, but
gotta give them a shout out real quick.
Oh yeah. But so the 3-peat, man. Like, I literally had a 3-peat, and that for me was, it went and showed that these kids wanted to fucking win, man. They wanted to play. Now they play year round, and now they're constantly playing and want to learn, and so we've seen our neighborhood turning from when our generation was playing all the time to where things started to become really stagnant to now everyone is playing again. And that's been my best memory, is being I'm not the reason, because kids need to play, but I to be a part of the opportunity for these kids to play has been the best thing in the world for me.
Love it. Kev, honestly, so being a part of your coaching journey, and seeing you lose those first 2 years, and then seeing you enjoy the success, but not only, like you said, you prepare these students
Yeah.
for the future, and you could clearly see that with everyone that you come in contact with. So I just want to say thank you once again for providing me with an opportunity, and it's just been a beautiful thing watching you
Thank
do
you, man.
your
But
thing.
for people who are listening, don't get it twisted though. Like this man had to be my assistant coach, make no money for a year and a half. So I just want to let you know, like he earned his keep, and you know, he took an opportunity and made it his. But you know, he wasn't given the he wasn't just giving it to him. You know, I provided the opportunity, he took it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do you have any other memorable coaching moments?
Oh, I mean, we can probably speak stories.
We could talk all day.
I'm gonna
I
give
don't
you
know.
guys one. I'm gonna give you guys one because you're in this story, Kev. I got two, and I'm gonna give you one. This kid was in ninth grade playing AAU. You know, for those of you listening or watching us, Kevin, I'm his uncle, and I'm like 17, 18 years old. Kevin knows that, you know, I'm love basketball. I was always in it. Like he said, he was coaching kids left and right, just trying to get the W, a true lifer. But he was like, Xavier, Coach X, you know, like I need a coach, but we got an AAU game. Can you come and help out? And I'm like, of course, I'd love to. So this was my first coaching experience. I'm 17, 18 years old. We're getting our asses smacked. I'm talking down by 30. We're in the fourth quarter. There's like 8 minutes left, 10 minutes left. I don't know what it was, but, you know, we were at the break, the little 2-minute break after the third quarter. I said a few words. I motivated the squad. I don't know what it was. I made the aura right. We rallied back to have an exciting end of the game. And I think we ended up being short by like a last shot or two. But what I remember is the kids literally saying thank you for coming and helping us and being there and motivating us. And so whatever I did, you know, I'm young, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just being genuine to these kids out there. Whatever I said worked, and we were celebrating like we won the championship. We had lost. I remember, Kev, you were like 14 years old, super excited, you know, that, you know, you had the opportunity to have your uncle coach you, and you
Now
guys.
that I think about it, now that I think about it, I think I was like 12, and because you said you're 18, I'm 6 years younger, so I was like 12, and I was playing up. So we were playing
Is
against.
that what it is?
We were playing up against ninth graders, 10th graders, and it was, you know, TJ knows like those circuits. You like, yo, my biggest what I hate is when players play down. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, why? What are you doing? What are you doing? And so we were 12 years old. We were playing up, like, and we met in the middle. Like it was one of those like they met in the middle kind of things. And it was because it wasn't AU, it was YBOA, so it was like it had a little bit less stringent rules at the time.
Yep.
But you know, boy had to go fourth quarter. That's what, you know.
Yeah, y'all. I remember y'all.
You know how it goes.
Took over.
Pre-injury. That's what that was, TJ. You're pre-injury.
Shoulder.
Yep.
I think that was the point where I felt like maybe this could be something that I really wanted to do. And I didn't know it at the time, which is crazy.
See, I had always thought about coaching after I played. Like I remember being in college and watching one of my roommates' older brother was an assistant at my high school when I played.
Okay.
So like he'd have all the coaching videos in the house, and you know, I'd pop them in and just start watching them. Like I remember, I remember it vividly, watching a Coach K DVD and just sitting there, and my roommate coming in and being like, "Yo, what the hell are you doing, guy? Like you're still playing. Why are you watching a coaching video?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe I pick up something as a player. You never know what you pick up in these things. You know what I mean?" And then his brother happened to be visiting him that day and was like, "Yo, leave him the hell alone, man. Let him watch the video."
Yeah.
But not knowing, and you know, I've always been. I played in college, didn't play that much, but I was always a vocal leader and tried to help my teammates get better at any turn that I could. So I think that, and then also doing the summer camps in the summertime also kind of spurned that a little bit too. So you never know what's gonna light that flame, man.
Correct.
You never know.
Man.
Thanks.
And so what really has ignited my flame, and I think that fire will be lit for the rest of my life now. So last year was my first full year coaching JV, and I coached.
You did both, by the way.
Yeah, I did both. So I'm basically like I'm coaching middle school girls, and I can transition those ladies into right away varsity because they're already ready and advanced. And I'm also providing myself with talent for JV. So it's like win-win.
Which is I just have to say, the key to a great high school program is your middle school program.
It's your feeder, bro. Everyone,
You need a feeder. That's where my high school has lost. We've gone down, number one, due to enrollment size, but also due to a lack of a feeder system. When I grew up, we had the Boys and Girls Club, which was like the feeder system of all feeder systems. So you were playing. I started playing when I was 7 years old, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I sucked. But I was in the Boys and Girls Club so much and played so much that I was athletic enough, and you just learned it. And then our middle school. And then the middle school went through a phase a little bit where they weren't that good now. My cousin, who I coached, who I was talking about, coaches our middle school.
Nice.
And he's coaching for the middle school age level AAU team for Expressions Elite. They're one of the they play in the Nike EYBL, made hoops for the middle school kids. So they're on that Nike circuit. So he's doing both of those now, the middle school at our town and doing the AAU stuff. So he's getting them going again. So, but yeah, man, the middle school is key. If you don't have a good feeder system, your high school is going to struggle because by then it's too late when you're trying to develop kids in high school.
So it's been tough, man, because like Kevin said, it's a new school. And what he had to deal with, boys, it's easier for them. They tend to get driven through sports a little bit more, so they adapted a lot quicker. When I had to first coach this middle school program, I'm talking about everyone looking down except for one or two players out of the 15. No one can't play.
Like a bitch.
No one can. Yeah, like you got to play 5-on-0 if you want to be successful. So we've had to start at the bottom, and I mean, Kevin could tell you the work that we've put in. You could just see that gradual growth that's turning into now churning out those players that are going to be ready for the high school level. And it just takes time. It takes years, man.
It does.
So we're now seeing it 4 years later.
And it made me appreciate long-term contracts for coaches. It really did. Like, I understand the difference between like a 4 or 5 year, a contract for like a collegiate or professional, because it takes time to build your culture, and it takes belief, and it takes a great player. Like, it really does take 1 or 2 great players to believe in you, to be able to carry that out throughout 1 or 2 years, and that's where I shout out, like, I was blessed with great players, this, especially, these last couple of years, but, yeah, man. Oh man, to see these, we actually did things that were unheard of. Realistically, I mean, I don't know if you want to touch on this, Avi, but, or you don't mind me touching on it, is
not at all.
As a middle school coach, you guys know we get paid for 1.5 months, right? But what we were lucky is that we have an athletic director that, man, we can't speak good enough about. He wanted
out to Mr. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez. He wanted greatness, and the way to exemplify that is, we started open gyms on like on the second week of school, which is like August. Every day, or Monday, or was it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every day, pretty much until the season started, as a middle school program.
And real quick, Kev, because we say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're not talking about afternoon, TJ. We're talking about school starts at 8 a.m. These young men and ladies are in our gym at 6:45 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to get better or to have fun.
Yes.
Even if they don't think they're going to make the team, they're still participating because it's an outlet for everyone to be together. And it's almost like a family thing now. It's a tradition.
Now, let me paint the picture. Let me paint the picture. TJ, the first year it would be me and X and maybe 3 other kids. 3 other kids. The first year, we were like, just come. And what I've realized is that kids aren't lazy. They just don't have enough opportunities, because once we provided that opportunity, you're talking about, TJ, kids who have school at ages 11, 12, and 13 were coming in the mornings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and wish that they had more. And you're talking 20 to 25 kids would come in a school that only has 200 kids anyways in middle school.
Total.
Graduation class is like 40, 50.
Ridiculous. So what it 3 years later, when you had one kid that had only played organized basketball, 3 years, 4 years later, now you have a system. And man, like, it was such a beautiful thing. Now there's like, I hate it now because now when I'm going, we'll go play. Like before, we used to always play because like me and X are playing. Now I got to sit out a couple games to be able to get a run in. I'm like, God damn.
You got the whole squad of ladies that want to play against the boys.
Now you got 7 girls showing up in the morning. Like, it's incredible.
Coaching makes you appreciate moral victories. I never thought I would ever say that as a competitor in my life, but it does. Because there's some teams you have where you're just like, wow, they've come a long way.
Yeah.
Even if you're not winning, you know what I mean? Like, I had a team, I think it was either my second to last or my last year coaching. And like, we just did not have the talent to compete, but they busted their ass every day. And never complained, even after I was yelling at them and getting on them all the time. And you know what I mean? Dropping a couple of bombs on them. But they competed. They never gave up. And, you know, and it makes you appreciate moral victories. And it makes those times where you actually were winning and when you win, even that much sweeter.
Yeah.
I love that, TJ. Because I wanted to segue into, you know, what's one thing you'd tell yourself, your younger self, or any coach or player or person in general? Is there a quote or a life experience, something that you would pass on?
Just never stop working, man. That's what I tell my kids, man. Like, even when it feels like it's bad, it's not that bad, you know? Like, that's what I'm doing now is I'm trying to help my kids, you know what I mean? And not make the same mistakes that I made. I always tell my son, I was like, the thing that the reason why I didn't make it as far as I thought I could or wanted to make it was I didn't work hard.
Yep.
Like, I got to a point in high school where girls became more important, you know, extracurricular activities became more important, and I relied mostly on my athletic ability, and that's what got me to college and playing in college. But then I got to college and everybody was the same, athletic-wise, bigger, stronger, and then I just kind of was okay with that, was okay with just kind of being on the team, even though I was frustrated that I wasn't playing because I felt like I was better than some kids. But, you know, coaches, high school, you know, the best players usually play. College, there's a little more politics involved. I didn't get recruited to the school. I kind of was like, I want to come out and play, and that was kind of like a walk-on kind of thing.
Okay.
So, like, there's politics involved once you get to college. But I also didn't work a lot the way my coach wanted me to work.
Yeah.
And looking at it from the other side now, I understand where he was coming from. Like, he wanted me to come in and work with him. Whereas I was like, well, coach, I'm coming in at night, like working with my homeboy and getting shots up and doing all that. But his argument was to me was, I don't see you all the time, TJ.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, well, but I'm working, coach. But he's like, I don't know you're working.
Yeah.
Like, so then I would, like, after the games, I'd go in the weight room and work out because I wasn't playing. So I was like, well, I'm not tired. I might as well get a lift in.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd see me doing that. But like actual skills and stuff, I was working with a friend of mine who I was more comfortable with and who I felt supported me more than my coach did. When in all actuality, my coach was supporting me. I just wasn't taking advantage of the opportunity. So, and if I did take advantage of the opportunity, how would my college career been different?
Yeah.
So, you know, but that's where I try to preach to my children that I'm like, yo, like, you got to work, man. Like, Kev's been helping out with Santi and working with him a little bit. So I've kind of taken a step back because I feel like my son and I's relationship is better when I don't coach him. So I've now learned from watching Kev with my son. What's that?
Sky's the limit for him, by the way.
We know that, Kevin. He doesn't know. He's got to learn to believe that. But I've learned he responds better when someone's doing something with him. So what I've learned from watching Kevin, which you can take from anywhere, is I got to do it with him.
Yep.
So we get my mom bought him, his grandmother bought him a parachute. I'm out running. He's like, Pop, I ran with the parachute. I did 48 sprints. And I'm like, all right, man. I was out there today, 7:00 in the morning, running my 48 sprints. I'm his quarterback. I'm his quarterback when he's trying to run routes. You know, I got the coil now with holding the thing. He's got to pull me. I got to pull him. Yeah, man. That thing is, I love it.
I know.
We were out there. We were out there on Thursday night after I got off work, and we had Trace on it. We let Trace do it. Trace was doing it. And then Santi was like, I was like, Santi, you want me to go or you want to go? He's like, I want you to pull me. So I strapped it on, and I was like, phew. Boom, I was going. He was like, whoa, because I got on and I took off on him. He was like, I might get more of a workout by me holding this thing for you. That thing is great.
Bro, I'm glad he loves it. I'm glad because he hated it while doing it when we first started. So
he likes to hold it. He don't like to do it. He's getting a little more comfortable with it though. He loves the parachute though. The parachute has been he's been out there with it the past like since he got it about a week ago, and he's been using it a lot. We've been trying to get out there and get something in with this whole pandemic thing.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
you know, it's but that's what I've learned from. And that's what I try to pass on to my children. And I would tell anybody's kids that. And don't be afraid to learn from an outside source.
Yeah.
At all whatsoever. You can, whatever knowledge someone is dropping, pick it up.
Thanks, man.
Good, Kev. You got something you'd like to tell your younger self or another coach or a player or just a person in general?
You know what's funny, man? TJ, I'm going to go with work smart. And this is why. Because I was the guy. So if I can talk to my younger self, I will go, just do a little more research. Just do a little more research, learn a little bit more. And because I wasn't the guy who didn't work hard. I was the opposite. And mind you, I'm also, 5'8", right? So like, I had to work hard. I was the 5'8" guy with bounce, like, you know what I mean? But I'll tell you a little bit. I had injuries. My sophomore year, I obliterated my rotator cuff. I had surgery on my left labrum and rotators, and that was something I had to go through. And that's actually a great story. We'll get that another podcast because Doc Rivers was in the crowd when that happened. That's a great story for another time. But
this man's like Iron Man, fellas.
and so I got through that, and then my junior year, if everyone knows high school basketball, your junior year is like your recruit year, right? That's like when you. Like, I need a school to give me at least a soft commit. Like, I need something. And so I went into my junior year and I worked my ass off. And I'll tell you my schedule. And this is why I say I wish I would have known to work smart versus hard. Or hard all the time. Like, I would have said work smart. I had a key. I had access to the gym. I was for my high school. And so I would wake up at 4:45, 5 o'clock, and get to my gym by 5:30 and get shots up before class started at 6:45, 7 o'clock. And then after classes, I ran cross country. So I'd run about, 10 to 12, around 8 to 12 miles a day after classes. And then after that, I would go home, do homework, and then I would go play basketball from about 6 to 9. And then I would go to work from 9 to 12. And then I would wake up and do it again. And I did that for about 6 months. And so I was running a 5 minutes and 6 second was my best mile. I was dunking alley-oops at that point. Like I was killing it. I'm ready.
He was a baby Nate Robinson.
Dude, it was incredible. I was so excited, but what ended up happening is I woke up, I tryouts came, we were doing zigzag drills, and my back gave out. It was a spasm. It was a ridiculous spasm. And I literally was like, oh my God, what just happened to me? And I ended up not being able to try out. I made the team because they were like, just, we don't need you for trials. We need you for the team kind of deal. And so now the first game of the season came, and you're not allowed to like the way the rules are. You're not allowed to play unless you practice the day before. Was kind of the thing, and so I forced myself to practice. And when I woke up that next day before the first game of the season, I couldn't feel my legs. And I literally could not feel my legs. It was the scariest moment of my life. I remember like legit waking up and I couldn't move my toes. And
like you're thinking paralysis, like
yeah,
life or death.
I literally just start screaming like, my mom, come. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I don't know. I was like, what's wrong? After waking up, and now knowing my PT stuff, I had compressed a nerve in my sciatic, and I had numbness down my entire, bilateral leg. So I ended up severely hurting my L1, L2, and was out for my entire junior year. And it ended up kind of backfiring. I ended up overworking myself and didn't realize the importance of neuromuscular training, balance training, rest and recovery. I did not rest and recover. I did not eat correctly. I did not, I should have spent more time instead of just working and running all the time. I should have spent more time on game film, so there's a lot of things I would tell my younger self, and that would be to be well-rounded and to understand that working hard is amazing, but you can work hard at working smart. And that's what I would tell my younger self.
Love it. So important to take care of your body, Kev.
Yeah.
We're in this kind of job now, and you're a PT, so I know you see young kids all the time, and you're assessing them, and it's like these kids, they go to bed at 2-3 a.m. They don't drink their 2 gallons of water. They're waking up at 6 a.m. to do their hair. Speaking to the girls, the boys, they just wake up and go, and it's like they don't eat all day. So like I'm over here, like I'm the snack guy. Like we're buying snacks, we're feeding kids. Once they realize that it's you build a little structure. We're not talking about like overdoing it, like Kev says, but like eat some oatmeal right before you go home, to school. Eat your lunch. Don't just talk with your friends. And then before game, eat something. When you get home, go to bed, do your homework, But it's hard, and they just don't know. So something that I like to pass on to students or my younger self, and something that I've learned recently is I have just one goal. I have one goal. And it's the first time I meet you, you could give me 6 months, give me a year. And if you don't love the game, then I'm doing something wrong as a coach. Because if you have the love to pick up that basketball and to come to practice, then you're going to put in the extra work when you're at home. If you love the game, you're going to love spending time with your teammates. If you love the game, you're going to let coach you, and I found some success in the sense of, I've been told I'm kind of too nice at times, but remember, we're a young program, and I didn't want to just be that mean, let's keep doing this, let's keep doing that. You know why? Because kids nowadays, if they don't trust you, if they don't love you, they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to go play Fortnite. I'm going to make sure I get straight A's so mommy and daddy aren't on my ass, and I'm not going to play ball, or I'm not going to play a sport. So
you're right.
I literally have it to where we can go 0-100, and they are going to fight. They're going to hustle. They're going to be in the gym the next morning. You know why? Because they love each other and they love the game. And so that's something that I want to just pass on. Don't be afraid to change your coaching style. And by the way, I've been meaner. I am stepping it up. You do need some discipline.
Yes.
I've had the better player. If you're a good player, they want to get pushed. But also when you're coaching middle school, it's like you get like an hour, and I have like 2 or 3 elite players, but I still have to coach 9 ladies who are learning to dribble a basketball. Mm-hmm. So I got to make sure everyone loves each other and that they love the sport of basketball before anything, because then I could push you and take you to that next level. So that's just my personal nugget. Make sure, you love the game. As a coach, make sure you're portraying that image.
For sure.
It's just, as Phil Jackson said in the documentary, he coached everybody different. You can't coach all your players the same. And Jimmy Johnson had a great quote. He goes, what did he say? He said, "I coach all my players the same, different."
Yep.
What's one thing that I guess my coaching nugget that I can give is, coach every player fair, but not it doesn't mean equal. And what I mean by that is, like, you treat everyone with respect, and you understand that everyone is different. And so I don't coach the star player the way that I'm coaching the 15th player, but I'm coaching, but I coach them fairly. So in other words, the 15th player, I'm not going to ask him to make sure that he's not only leading, or that he's not only the leading scorer, the leading rebounder, the team leader, this and that, right? Because that's the star player. But that 15th player, I'm going to challenge him by being like, look, I want you to make sure you're running your plays correctly. I want to make sure that you're the best teammate you can be. You're always on time. You're like, I'm treating their goals. I'm making sure that every teammate, every player has goals and has a role and has things that they can be challenged for. But I'm not gonna, if the 15 player doesn't score 30, I'm not going to be angry at him. Does that make sense?
You're not gonna pigeonhole them to something that they don't want.
Yeah, I'm like, no. But if the star player, and I know he can get 30, and he just didn't because he didn't work hard and do what he needs to do, then I'm gonna coach that. So big thing I always say is treat everyone fair. It does not mean equal. And I think that's the biggest thing that middle schoolers and high school kids try to get messed up, is like, yo, first of all, as a coach, you got to be malleable. Some kid can be the 11th person on a team, and then the next year he can be the number one. But he's got to put that you got to know that if he comes up to you as a player to ask for opinions or advice, that you got to be willing to give that. And doesn't matter that he's right now the 11th. He's asking for that advice. He's asking for that opportunity. So you got to be willing to give that. And as he's earned his keep, and as they get better and they want to be more, you provide them with opportunity. You don't limit somebody. You don't box somebody in. So, as players start to realize that, that's fucking life, by the way, right? That's life.
Correct. That's what I wanted to say. Just those day-to-day principles and values.
Sports is just a microcosm of life. That's all it is.
Biggest metaphor, right?
You got to get up and grind, and there's going to be ups and downs, and you got to go get what you want.
Love it.
For sure, man. I love it.
It's funny, Kev. And I just want to real quick touch on that again. Just like, you treat everyone fairly, but they may get treated differently in the sense of what they need. Every student athlete has a different need, has a different want. But since we were together at the middle school level, right? And I want to speak, specifically on coaching young ladies. Is I was giving the green light to like girls who had never touched a basketball in their lives. I'm talking about shoot it, and do this and do that. And it's funny because my best player, like, we know she can hoop, but that's not why she's my best player. It's like she's over here with the biggest smile because someone who has never played the game of basketball is being accountable, laying it all on the line, hitting 3-pointers, playing defense, doing things that she just believes in just the overall growth of the program. And that's what a true leader is. It doesn't matter how good she is. It's just she cares about the betterment of her peers and her own coaches. And she just has the ability to, like, she inspires the ladies with her play. But the reason that those ladies have trust in her is because she's always like, you got the green light. I need your help, sweetie. Like, this is us. This isn't me. And just wanted to touch on that, man. It's just a beautiful thing.
And shout her out, Yari. It goes to show that, like, she has a bigger picture beyond it's just middle school basketball. Like, and that was a beautiful thing, I think, from a coach perspective. Like, like you said, I was an assistant for you, and like looking at it, she didn't look at it as like, if I lose this game, it's the end of the world. She was like, no, I need her to gain confidence for the next 3 years when we're in varsity and together. You know what I mean? So it was really dope to see that. But I have a question. I have a question for TJ, and actually for you as well. And I think you kind of answered it, Savi. It was your best player that you can think of. What was their number one quality?
Go ahead, TJ, and then and then I want to ask that to
Because
you
I have
as
a
well.
feeling. I have a feeling we're gonna. I'm curious on how this is gonna line up from all of our answers.
Okay.
The best player.
And what was what specifically was their best?
See, I don't know if I can pick.
It might.
Because
You can even say like maybe they had the same best quality. I don't know.
I would say the best quality of the best players that I've coached is being competitive, man. Because if you don't like competition, like you couldn't play in us, you couldn't play for us, man. Like because down to, we would always say to our kids, we as coaches can't want it more than you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want it more than you,
Mm.
there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be the competitive fire. We come from a place where it looks like we got a lot of money, but it's the service industry. Like everybody that really lives there is in the service industry and is struggling. So you were either in the service industry or you're in construction. Those are the two like things that are popping off there. And then you get tourists that come in from out of town and buy all the big houses and come for the summer and all that shit. So it was like you had to grind. So if you ain't grinding and you ain't competitive against the next man, like you couldn't play. So I would say it's being a competitor and being willing to compete and not being afraid of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love it. What about you, X?
So as he was saying that, Ding just had a light bulb pop up. For girls and young ladies at the middle school level, high school level, it's like, it's not hard for them to lay it all on the line and compete for each other. As long as they know that the girl to my right and the girl to my left has me, and Kevin, cause he watches it and he sees me specifically, I'm rotating in and out. Like I'm all about making sure everyone gets their feet wet.
Yeah.
And that they're learning and growing. It's easy. It's a boy thing, I think, to be able to like some struggle to light that competitive fire. For the ladies, I don't have a problem. Like that fire is already lit. They're trying to prove to other boys, to parents that they can hoop. My one quality is, and it's funny because it's not just Yariana who has it, but other ladies who they're about to go into high school now and they're going to show these qualities, but they just want to witness and be there for the success of the girl that's behind them or in front of them. And they don't need help to light that fire. It's literally, they are so engaged.
Yeah.
And to be a part of a team and to like, they know that it's special. It's not, you can't take being a part of a basketball program for granted. And at least with me recently, my biggest quality for my best players right now, and I could say, like, so I have 6 8th graders that are going to be 9th graders next year. 1 or 2 of them might make varsity. The rest, they're going to have to fight to make JV, and they know that. They know that I'm not biased. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new jungle. But they just want success, not only for themselves, they want success for the whole squad. And so that kind of
unselfishness, you're saying, is
that kind of unselfishness to me, especially for it's what I've seen, like as a coach and just from the outside looking in, you'd be surprised what kind of care. Like I'm so proud of this neighborhood, the way they've been able to these parents been able to grow these young ladies and mold them, because I haven't had any problems in the sense of to light at that competitive fire or to, have that girl who might not be as good, but the best player is literally like, I want you to like handle this because I know you can, it's,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, I'm proud. I'm proud of being able to coach and see how special some of these ladies are already without even my help and my ability to mentor and teach them. So
That's dope. So unselfishness. I will say for me, it's my best player. I can shout him out, Sean Garcia. Good for him, and he's probably doing some push-ups right now. If I if I know him, like I think
he dunked at 14, by the way.
Yeah, man, he's so dope. He sent us the video of his first dunk like a week ago. It was amazing. But
still in 8th grade.
But anyway, so his number one quality that I always tell him, it's not his athletic ability, it's not his strength, his speed, his dominance. It's that he literally works as if he's the 15th best player on the team. And so for me, the best quality that I've seen from my best players throughout the years is that they are not satisfied and they're curious. I think curiosity and hard hat type of work ethic.
Lunch
pail type of people, especially at this level, is what kind of can separate you from others. Not even from like the thing is, what people don't understand is like skills. One thing I think TJ can speak to, just like you can have people who are better than you, right? Like you can have people who this dude is nasty on the court, right? But you put him in a room and he doesn't know how to talk to a coach, or he doesn't know how to talk to other teammates. And so
he doesn't know the plays.
Or he doesn't know the plays, right? Like how many people do we know throughout our lives that I've seen murk our best player on a playground, but you put them on an organized basketball and they look garbage.
Garbaggio.
And that's real, because they don't understand basketball is not pickup, or there's pickup, go play pickup. There's organized basketball. It's two different games. And
totally different games.
Completely. I play pickup to be somebody I'm not. Does that make sense? Like, because organized basketball, I'm a pure point. When I play pickup, I'm like
fucking setting screens, rolling role player.
Like I'm playing N1 out there. Like it's different. But regardless of that point, like curiosity, and lunch pail kind of work ethic, I would say is what makes the best basketball players that I've seen.
I love it. Fellas, I just want to say thank you so much. For the future, I plan on bringing, coaches. I would love to speak to some of these coaches who are running a college program, a high school program. What are they doing right now in these times, these troubling times? Me, for instance, like I'm having once a week Zoom meetings with my high school players. I'm finding a way to make videos and just sending it to our little group meet chat. Do this drill of the day. Boom, 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 boom. Can you match it? And I'm being able to interact with these players. But I wanna definitely. I'm so excited for what the future holds here for the Coach's Corner, brought to you by the Lifers Podcast Network once again. Thank you so much, fellas.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, and just for have the opportunity for coaches, athletes, trainers of high school, collegiate, professional levels to be on here and for us to hear their stories and ask them as many questions as we possibly can. I look forward to the success of it, and thank you so much for having the idea and bringing it forward. So, at the Lifers Podcast Network, we appreciate it, man.
Bigger and better things, Avi. I appreciate you having me on and thinking of me, man. So anything you need from me, I'm more than willing to help out.
Absolutely. Real quick, I just have a small nugget, something special. One of the true greats, legends of from the Utah Jazz, Mr. Jerry Sloan. He passed away yesterday. My condolences and much love and energy to the Sloan family. He coached 23 years, for the Utah Jazz, and I think he started his career, his first few years with the Chicago Bulls as a player. As a player. It's funny because TJ, you got that, you got the shirt. I got to see it again, baby. But Mr. Jerry Sloan, he had a tremendous impact. Even in that time, he was up against Pippen and Jordan and, one of the best coaches to ever live. I'm probably going to go and read up on some of his work, see what kind of schemes he was running. But I just like
pick and roll.
He did love the pick and roll. in a hard role.
He wasn't a pick and pop guy.
He was not a pip and pop guy at all. Like, it had to be pass that ball inside. I was watching that. Postman. I want to do quickly 23 seconds of silence just to commemorate, his greatness. He had 23 years of coaching. So just real quick, fellas.
Shout out again, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Rest in power, Jerry Sloan.
Appreciate you, man.
Circle of life, man. He inspired, and I'm sure he inspired you guys in some shape or form. Be it by watching him or listening to him or watching him battle it out with the great one.
But yeah, man, and go ahead and thank you for everyone taking the time to out of the busy days. I know for listening to us, and go ahead and follow us for more content at the Lifers Podcast on our YouTube channel, or at the Lifers Pod on our Instagram and Twitter. We have other featured shows. We have MMA Mondays. It's our sports MMA talk on Mondays with Mikey Conlon and Papa Joshua, Mr. Joshua Carrera.
Joshua.
Shout out.
As well as our Coach's Corner, and we look forward to the many shows that we provide on the Lifers Podcast Network, man. We appreciate you guys, and shout out to you, Sabi. Thank you, and TJ, as always, man.
Fellas, have a beautiful night. Thank you so much. Much love, positive energy. Keep fighting.
Peace. Peace.